It's March. It's March the 6th. It's actually Mother's Day in the UK here. You wouldn't think it was sort of spring. People say that spring begins in March, but I always think it's the spring equinox. Is that around about the 21st? I'm not sure. Anyway, it doesn't feel like spring. You know, I talk about layers sometimes, but if I'd waited for it to get warmer, I'd never have come down. So here I am, but before any further ado, the onslaught of spring can mean only one thing. Bunting. Ta-da! Doesn't that make things better? I know it's really girly, but and to be honest, I've got no room for bunting at home, but I feel like here I can just do what I like. Okay, so doesn't look quite as perky as last year, but I probably don't either. So now the bunting's up, we can begin. What I'm going to do today, I'm going to introduce you to my pond. I am going to have a look at the blackcurrant bushes, see if they need a bit of a prune. I'm going to show you some of the seedlings that I brought down from home and show you the bean trench. We'll just have a look round, have a little look round, okay? Yeah, so let's go move on. Hello you two. Hello. Nah, not having it. Okay, this is one of the things I'm most excited about this year. This is my little wildlife pond. Little is the word for this because it's only about, what, just over 2 foot by almost 2 foot. That's very accurate for you. But it was a pre-formed plastic pond. It cost about 20 quid. It's called Bermuda Cove if you want to find a tiny pond to put somewhere in your garden. And I'm hoping that it will attract some wildlife. It's got a shelf in it for putting various plants on, and it's got a little wildlife ramp to help disadvantaged creatures who found themselves lost in the middle of a pond to scramble their way out. But I might put a brick in there or something as well. But yeah, I'm hoping that this pond is going to be worth its money, which wasn't a lot. I'm hoping it's going to attract some wildlife in that's going to help with the whole environment at the plot. It's in my flower area and I don't feel guilty. I'm trying not to feel guilty because I know this area would make a lovely bed for some sort of crop like carrots or something like that. But actually, the flowers were one of my best crops last year. I love flowers in the house. It was just lovely to be able to come down and pick bunches of flowers. Not just for us, but for friends, you know, for any occasion really. And so, yeah, it paid a fortune in the shop, sold them as well. A lot more cost effective than planting carrots actually. So this is going to enhance that area and hopefully not cause us any problems. Somebody warned me against filling it with the hose from the mains because you've got chlorine in that water, etc., which isn't very good. So I've just been letting it fill up with rainwater, and I've just actually topped it up just now with water from the water butt, which is why it looks a bit muddy. Planting around it, it looks very sparse at the moment, I know, but these are just, because I'm trying to be as cost effective as possible, these are just things from home that I've brought and put all around, and they're all things that will come again each year and thicken and spread and hopefully eventually cover the edge. I mean, you can see this lungwort is already covering the edge because it's fallen in. Okay, so I should probably take those leaves out, but you get the impression there. They're going to come over. I've got the tiny daffodils here, the lovely narcissi. Only a tiny bit left of this stuff I put in last week. Creeping Jenny. I've put some there, some there. Again, that should come over and cover this. I've got some primroses, a whole bunch of pebbles. I've got crocuses in, some grape hyacinth, all stuff that is pretty hardy, pretty tough, and that will come again. And obviously, as the season goes on, it's then going to fill with, what have I got? Cosmos, Delphinium, Lupin, Zinnia, Dahlia, oh, all sorts of stuff. Marigolds, obviously marigolds, loved those last year. But for now, I'm going to show you what's in the bag. And this really, really, really does smell quite bad because I've just lifted it out of our teeny tiny pond at home. So I'm going to take my glove off and I'm going to try and do this without pulling any faces. Mike's waving at me. Waving at me now. What is do this? Bye. Almost photobombed me then. Oh, I've got some Sainsbury's receipts here. Well, that doesn't smell very nice, but I take it that means it's quite healthy. All I'm going to do, I think this is a marsh marigold. I was actually given it from, oh, there's something else, from someone else's pond. And we don't quite know what it is, but it gets lovely yellow flowers on. All I did when I got it was throw it in my pond at home. I'm going to take all the rotted leaves off, that's where the smell's coming from. And so all I'm going to do for this is, oh, you can see it's got loads of roots on there, is pop it in there. And hopefully, if I'm going to go that way a bit, hopefully that will be at home in there. We'll see. We'll see. And, you know, wouldn't that be nice if that actually took? And we've got little frogs jumping off it. Doesn't look a lot at the minute, does it? But I've got great expectations of this place. It's going to be fantastic. And I think as well, one of the things about doing the videos is at the moment, everything just looks like bare soil. And I'm sitting here on some wet soil, by the way. It's not very pleasant. But just in a month or two, this is going to be completely transformed. You're not going to be able to see the soil at all. So anyway, fingers crossed. That's the start of my pond. Let's hope that takes off. I'm just going to be watching this with such interest now. If I get frogs this year, that would be fantastic. If I get any frogs at all, that would be absolutely fantastic. But fingers crossed. Smelly, wet fingers crossed. Okay, just a quick look at the garlic patch here. On the left here are the ones that I planted in, oh, I can never remember, hold on. Is that even the right way up? No. In November. And then there's these ones from Nigel, the Allotment, which were planted at the beginning of January. And if you look at these now, they're really starting to come up. I'm really pleased with those. So shortly what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be giving the garlic bed a feed of potash, just to make sure they're really up and running and get them underway. Okay, I am also going to put some potash on the strawberries, but if you look at the strawberries a minute, here we go. Whoop. They're looking a right tip, don't they? And I haven't, to be honest, I haven't got the time or the inclination to clear those up today. And also I do sort of think it's still very, very cold at night. We're still having snow, although we don't seem to get the snow, we just seem to get the rotten sleet, but it's very, very cold. And I do tend to think all this cover, even if it's just covering the soil, is keeping it a little bit snug. Okay, once you clear all that away, they're completely open to the elements. So yeah, that's my excuse for not weeding the strawberries today anyway. But yeah, soon enough that'll be all sorted out and a nice treat of potash. Okay. Okay, I'm down here at the fruit patch. Still hasn't got a cage around it, but you can see if can I zoom in? Ooh, there we go. I've got my raspberries down now. It's difficult, you know, when people give you things. I think they were autumn fruiting raspberries, because we didn't think we were going to get any fruits at all. Oh, there's all the rubbish. And so I've cut them right down to the ground. Now obviously if they were summer fruiting, you leave last season's new canes on. So we're either going to get a bumper crop or nothing at all. But let's hope we're okay. On this side, I've got my currants. Now, I've never known before with currants what to do. Let's see what this one is. Red currant. Okay. So I've looked it up today, and apparently what I'm supposed to do is just take, let's see, Look at the ground there. Just cut above an outward growing bud. So can you see there? That was growing outwards. I've cut just above, cut it on do a bit more of a slant actually. So no water pools in it. There we go. So it will grow outwards and not crowd the centre. Likewise, if you've got ones like this, you want to get rid of that, because that's just going to crowd up. Crowd up, there's a term. So I'll do the same with this one. I have got an outward facing bud, you can't quite see it just down there. So if I go there, that one's crossing over, so I want to get rid of that. What I always try and do when I prune things is I try and get things the same height, and I know it doesn't matter really. Oh look, I'm not going with the same height at all there. I'm going to go down there though, just because it looks nice. Okay, you can see actually if you look on there, it's really starting to get lots of growth on there now, so I'm probably doing this as late as I possibly could. But the idea, as with anything, is to encourage bushing out. Well, this is a difficult one, look. That's growing that. Well, I'm going to cut it to there. That's a horizontal one. And then this one, I'll cut to there. I suppose if you're very clever, sorry about this wobbling, I suppose if you're very clever, what you would do is you would take these bits you've cut off and root them and get yourself some free plants. But as I've said before, I haven't really got room for the ones I've got. So there we are, that's not too different to how it was. I don't know what this one is next to it, but I'm going to do the same thing, apply the same principle. Chop off above an outward bud. Whatever it is, it's got plenty of new growth coming. This patch has got loads of manure on it from last year, so again some of these plants went in quite late, so we didn't really get a crop. But I'm going to go right down here. If you look at this, there's so much growth coming there. It all seems wrong, doesn't it? But I want to encourage it to be bushy and open. And if I'm doing this wrong, I can imagine you're probably all going, no, what's she doing? Stop it. She's beheading perfectly healthy plants. But, you know, it's one of those things though, isn't it? You get a bit scissor happy. It's like when I used to cut my daughter's hair. She won't let me near her with a pair of scissors now. Right, okay. There we are again. So all that growth now, all that energy should go down to the bottom. Okay, I'm going to carry on now with that one and the one beyond. And hopefully we'll get a really good crop of currants this year. Currants done. Okay, under that pile of lovely feed and lovely rich soil is the most disgustingly noxious mix of decaying vegetable matter that you have ever seen. All for the beans. Mike took his time, and if we see here actually, he dug out a trench. I have got some photos somewhere I'll pop in. Dug out a trench, lined it with newspaper and poured in basically vegetable slurry. A mix of compost, some lots of newspaper and lots of vegetable peelings and old flower cuttings and all sorts of stuff in there to make a lovely, lovely, lovely rich soup for the beans to feed off when we plant them in a month or two. Okay, so although it just looks quite innocent, there's quite a lot going on under that soil. And at this end we've got our broad beans. These are ones that I planted, hold on, let me just show you. Aquadulce Claudia, planted on the 12th of October in the greenhouse in little pots. Then about a month ago I put them outside, still in their pots, and they have withstood all sorts of bad weather, snow, ice, floods, and yet they're still going. They're hardy little creatures. So although they look a bit leggy, they're now in their permanent home. We've put those in. There's only a few of them, I think about 3, 6, 9, something like that. But we've just planted some more today, again in pots. They'll come out in about a month's time, and then we'll probably plant some in direct into the soil as well in a couple of months' time. So hopefully we should have some sort of succession. The jury's out as to whether these things are better planted in the autumn or the spring, but you know, we planted them in the autumn, plant them in the spring as well. Got nothing to lose. Beans. I do love a broad bean. Don't know if you can see that. It's 5.8 degrees. It's blooming cold. Okay, those of you who've got the heated electric propagators at home will no doubt recognise these. Let me turn this around so I can see that you can see. Yep, upside down. There we go. These little tubs that you can start your seedlings off at home in. That sentence makes sense. Seedlings off at home in. Yeah, that sounds good. Obviously, the rush then is to get as many seedlings in as possible, and you end up with leggy plants. Which, if you look at my nasturtiums, could prove a point, but I think they're sturdy enough to withstand that. So anyway, I took them off the propagator about a week ago, and they have been sitting on a windowsill at home, which can be quite dangerous because the temperatures can change quite drastically. So it's nice and sunny in the day. Of an evening you close the curtains and it becomes like a little icy pocket next to the window. So as far as I'm concerned, if they've managed to withstand being next to my window, they'll be okay in a cold greenhouse. So basically I've brought them down here today so I can, well, I was going to plant them on, but I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave them for a few days just to hard them off for a little bit in the greenhouse and see how they do. I've got some Dianthus and Cosmos. Cosmos, absolutely beautiful last year. I think this one's the White Purity. Lovely. And I've got my Special Eshel cucumbers. Now the thing with cucumbers, I have potted these on. And if you're worried about your cucumbers getting leggy, don't, because they are one of the things that, if you can see that, they get little like nodules really down the stem, and that means, like tomatoes, when I pop those on again, I can pop them deeper and those will become roots and anchor it really well. So don't worry if they're a bit leggy. So that's happened to both of mine. I'm hoping I haven't squashed that one actually. But you can see, being on the windowsill as well, they've been reaching for the light. They've got a funny shape. They need to be somewhere a little bit more stable. Oh, I've got something else over here. Yeah, I've got my Malva there, which is mallow, and Echinacea. Look, that's only just coming up. We'll see if that survives. Thing is, these are just an experiment doing them at home. If they don't come, I've got loads of seed left, and I'll seed them in here in the coming weeks. What you might notice from my nasturtiums is that some of them are looking a bit bald. If you've ever tasted a nasturtium leaf, you'll know why. They're fantastic. They're like radish. If you're growing nasturtiums now, a day to go and eat a leaf. They're just really hot and peppery. They're fantastic. So yeah, on account of me having a bit of a nibble of my nasturtiums, they're looking a bit bare. They are ready to come on though. Let's just have a look underneath. I'm not gonna do them today. If I look at the bottom as well though of the cucumbers, I'm going to tip this out. Let's see if you can see it. We'll just see how well they've rooted. Yeah, they are starting to form lovely roots now in there. So I'm going to leave them in there probably for another couple of weeks. I always wait until you start to see roots coming out the bottom, and then you know that they've filled the pot. But don't be tempted to pot them on too early, because too big a pot can be as bad as too small a pot. Just made that up. I think it's true. Okay. The other thing that I've been buying, and it's so easy to get sucked into buying things, especially when you go to shops that rhyme with Milkinsons. I bought, instead of growing some from seed, some 6 plug plants of, can you see that from there? Plug peppers. £3 for 6 plants. They come in their own little propagator. In fact, let's have a look. To be honest, 6 plants is as much as I will need. I'm going to grow them in the greenhouse. If we look underneath, they've got, this is really good, you know, they've got that sort of, that gel, that water holding gel in underneath. So in there, if I do that up like that, they've got quite a nice little environment to grow on in. So I'm not going to do anything to them other than leave them in here, keeping an eye on them, leave them in the cold greenhouse until it's time to pot them on. Okay, blooming egg. It's cold. It's really cold now. I think I'm done for the day, to be honest. There's been no one else down here today. I mean, we're only a small plot. We're about 15 plots, but usually you see someone. I suppose it is Mothering Sunday, and yeah, it's Mothering Sunday. I should be getting pampered somewhere. Never mind. But I had to come down today because I'm busy tomorrow, and the rest of the week we're forecast snow. And even though we were forecast snow last week and didn't get it, you can't take a risk, can you? So there were things I needed to get done. I need to start hardening those seedlings off. You can see how lank they were getting. I hope they're going to survive very, very cold nights. If they don't, I'll just plant some more. You know, you live and learn. But things I am going to get started at home. I bought one of the gardening magazines last week or the week before. It was Grow Your Own, and they basically had they cost £4.99, these magazines, and I wouldn't usually commit to that. But they had 4 different types of tomato, which are red pear, not too bothered about, tigerella, which quite fancy those, so I'm going to grow those, red cherry, and Principe Borghese. Do you say it like that? Principe Borghese, which is the classical Italian sun-dried variety. So I'm going to have a go with that because I don't know if you remember, I followed Julie Drake's example and bought myself one of these air dryers. Is it an air dryer? I think it is. Yeah, a dryer anyway, for Christmas. It's got to that stage, and so that would be a really good use if I could grow some tomatoes to then dry, because I love sun-dried tomatoes. Okay. Oh, and you get some basil as well. So basically, if you like any Italian food, that was a good deal, I thought. 4 different sorts of tomatoes and some basil. So I'm going to take those home, grow them or sow them in the heated propagator, and then bring them down as and when. And again, there are plenty of seeds. If they don't work, let's see. Does it say how many? No. Oh, yeah. 75, 30. Oh, the basil, 650. So I think they'll keep me going, really. So even though it says, and this often happens, sow before the end of December 2016, so they have got to be used up this year, but you can use them this year. Okay, and those that you don't use, you give away, share with friends. I just wanted to share one more thing with you. Before I had this allotment, and again, I'm going back years and years of growing things in buckets, in wasteland, in pots wherever I can, in teeny tiny gardens that I've had. Wherever I've grown anything, one of my most inspiring things was this book, or this series of books by Dr. D.G. Hessian. Is that how you say it? Try and say that fast. Dr. D.G. Hessian, the vegetable expert. I've got the whole range of the fruit expert, the flower expert, the garden expert, there's a greenhouse expert, there's a houseplant expert, and these were my Bible when I first started. And in a way, what's interesting is, even though it's so clear, sorry, I'm going off here, so clear, you're shown which varieties to plant, how to plant them, what diseases you get, how to counteract that. It was just fantastic. Even though there is so much available online now, which tends to be my first port of call, these books are still very, very precious. So yeah, if you're starting out, you can do worse than to get hold of one of these books. They're always in the charity shops now, which I think is quite sad because mine's a very well thumbed copy. I love that. So yeah, did you use these books? Do you still use them? I don't know. Let me know. Okay, very, very cold, bit of a runny nose, might be having snow. I think that's it for today, folks. Yeah, I'm going to start wittering on now if I carry on for much longer. So have a lovely Sunday. What's left of it? You see I'm wittering. I'm just going to stop. Okay, hopefully next time I come down it'll be a little bit warmer and there'll be a little bit more planting going on. Okay, but until then, take care. Bye. And one last thing, if anyone's going to the this is really weird. I can't. Oh, I'd be terrible with the selfie stick, you know. One last thing, if anyone's going to the Edible Garden Show, it's Stoneleigh Park, I think it is, in Warwickshire this weekend. I know quite a lot of you are going. I'm going on Sunday, so if you do see me, please say hello. I'll probably look like this. I'll be squinting at things because I'll never know whether to have that stage. Do I have my glasses or not? So don't think I'm frowning and in a bad mood. Just say hello. Okay. Hopefully see you there. Bye.